Most beginners who start investing make one of two choices. They either pick individual stocks, hoping to find the next big winner, or they buy an index fund and wonder if they're missing something. Almost every beginner gets this decision backwards, not because they're bad at investing, but because nobody ever explains the actual difference in plain language, or shows you the data on what most stock pickers actually get. Here's the number that frames everything. S&P's SPIVA scorecard, the most comprehensive active versus passive study available, tracking fund performance since 2001, released its year-end 2024 report with a finding that should stop every stock picker cold. Over the 15-year period ending December 2024, there was not a single category of equity funds in which the majority of active managers outperformed their benchmark. Not one. And in 2024 alone, 65% of active large-cap U.S. fund managers failed to beat the S&P 500. These are professional fund managers with every data advantage available, and the majority still lost to a simple index. If professionals can't beat the index consistently, what does that tell a beginner about picking individual stocks? Stay until the fifth difference on this list, because that one reshapes how most people think about risk in the market. Index funds and individual stocks are not different versions of the same thing. They are fundamentally different. Different risk profiles, different cost structures, different behavioral demands. 5 key differences, each with real numbers. Let's go. Difference 1, what you are actually buying. When you buy an individual stock, say Apple, you're buying a single company. If Apple performs well, your investment grows. If Apple faces a lawsuit, misses earnings, or its CEO leaves suddenly, your investment drops. You are entirely exposed to the fate of one business. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, such as FXAIX on Fidelity or SWPPX on Schwab in the US or XEQT on Wealthsimple in Canada, you are buying fractional ownership in 500 of the largest companies in the American economy simultaneously. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Berkshire Hathaway, all in one investment. If one company collapses entirely, it represents roughly 0.2% to 7% of your portfolio, not 100%. This is the foundational difference. Not performance, not cost. Concentration versus diversification. With a stock, you are betting on a company. With an index fund, you are betting on an economy. Difference 2. Cost. Costs in investing are permanent and compounding. Every dollar you pay in fees is a dollar that never grows. An S&P 500 index fund has an expense ratio, an annual management fee, of roughly 0.015% to 0.05% for the major low-cost funds. On $10,000 invested, that's $1.50 to $5 per year. Actively managed funds, where a professional tries to beat the market by picking stocks, charge an average expense ratio of approximately 1%. On $10,000, that's $100 per year. $5 versus $100. Compounded over 30 years on a growing portfolio, that difference runs into tens of thousands of dollars. Individual stock investing also carries a time cost, researching companies, following earnings, monitoring news. For a professional, that's a full-time job. For everyone else, it's hours every week on an activity the data says most people lose money doing. Cost is not a detail. It is a return you either keep or give away permanently. Difference 3. Behavior required. Individual stock investing demands ongoing attention, earnings reports, competitive threats, management changes, regulatory shifts. When attention lapses, mistakes happen. You hold a falling stock too long. You sell a winner too early out of fear. An index fund requires almost no ongoing attention. You invest, you leave it. The fund automatically adjusts as companies enter and exit the index. No daily decisions required. Behavioral finance researchers Brad Barber and Terrence Odian at UC Berkeley analyzed 78,000 investor accounts and published their findings in the Journal of Finance. The most actively trading investors underperform the market by approximately 10 percentage points annually after cost. Even the average individual investor underperformed by nearly 4 percentage points per year. More activity, worse outcome, every time. That is not an opinion, It is 78,000 accounts of documented evidence. An index fund removes the decision entirely. You cannot panic sell what you've set to auto-invest. The structure itself protects you from your own behavior. Difference 4, return comparison. The actual data. According to Fidelity, the S&P 500's average annual return over the 30 years ending December 2025, including dividends, was approximately 10.4%. That is the benchmark. Now here's what most investors actually get. Dalbar's 2025 quantitative analysis of investor behavior, 30 years of data, updated through December 2024, found that over the most recent 20-year period, the average U.S. equity investor returned 9.24% per year. The S&P 500 returned 10.35% over the same period, a gap of 1.1% per year. Not caused by bad funds, caused entirely by behavior. Selling before recoveries, buying after rallies, switching at the wrong moment. 1.1% per year sounds small. Compounded over 20 years on a $100,000 portfolio, that behavioral gap costs more than $370,000 to $70,000 in ending value. That is the price of trying to be clever. Warren Buffett, who built one of history's greatest fortunes picking individual companies, wrote in his 2013 letter to Berkshire Hathaway shareholders that his instructions for his wife's trustee were simple. Put 90% in a very low-cost S&P 500 index fund. He named the provider Vanguard. When the greatest stock picker in history tells his own family to use an index fund, that is the data speaking through him. Difference 5. Risk. The one that reframes everything. Most beginners think of risk as, what if the market drops? That is one type of risk, market risk. Both individual stocks and index funds carry it. Everything falls in a crash. But there is a second type of risk that index funds almost entirely eliminate, company-specific risk. Enron, Lehman Brothers, Blockbuster, Kodak. Once considered among the safest names in American business, gone. Shareholders didn't just experience a market drop. They experienced complete loss of capital. An index fund cannot go to zero unless 500 of the largest companies in the world go to zero simultaneously. An individual stock can go to zero because one company makes one catastrophic decision. Market risk is shared by everyone. Company-specific risk is chosen, and it can be completely avoided. Index funds still fall in recessions, but they recover because they represent the economy, not a single business inside it. Which one is right for you? Index funds are the right starting point for the overwhelming majority of beginning investors. Low cost, minimal attention, diversified across hundreds of companies. A decades-long track record of outperforming most alternatives. Individual stocks can become part of a portfolio later. Once you understand the companies you're buying, have index fund foundations in place, and are willing to do the ongoing research. But starting with stocks before building that foundation is the most common way beginners lose money in their first 2 years. How to start today? 3 steps, done once. Running permanently. Step 1, open the right account. In the US, go to fidelity.com or schwab.com, both free, no minimums, set up in under 15 minutes. Open a Roth IRA for retirement investing or a standard brokerage account for flexibility. In Canada, go to wealthsimple.com and open a TFSA. Same process, same time. Step 2, choose one fund. In the US, FXAIX on Fidelity, SWPPX on Schwab, or VOO on Vanguard, all tracking the S&P 500 at near zero cost. In Canada, XEQT or VEQT on Wealthsimple or Questrade. You are not looking for the perfect investment. You are looking for the one you will stay in. Step 3, automate a monthly transfer on payday, even $50 to start. The money moves before you see it. You set it once and it runs without any further decision from you. 3 steps, 1 afternoon. A foundation that compounds for decades. Real outcome. $10,000 invested in the S&P 500 at age 25. At age 65, 40 years later, at a 10% average annual return, that $10,000 becomes approximately $452,000. $10,000 invested in a single company that underperforms or fails, as the majority of individual stocks do versus the index over 20-plus year periods, could be worth significantly less or nothing. Pause on that. The expected outcome of choosing index funds over stock picking is not a modest improvement. Over long periods, the gap is measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars on a single starting investment. If this video moved something for you, subscribe. That's how you make sure the next one finds you. And tell us in the comments, are you currently in index funds, individual stocks, or still deciding? Let's talk about it. The debate was never which one sounds smarter, it was always what the data actually shows. No investment is enough without the right foundation. The tools are available. The strategy is simple. The information is right here. The only variable left is you. You are choosing between two options without the full picture. Now you have it. That ends today. Will you start?